Hey, I'm Mac. Welcome back to my channel where sometimes we move fast and sometimes we move slow. And that depends on if Mac wrote a script for this one, essentially. If you like what you see, don't forget to subscribe, hit like, and if you'd like, you can join my Patreon. Patrons get access to links to all my videos without ads and get new releases 24 hours early ad-free. Now let's get to it. If you're a regular viewer of the amazing Savannah Marie's channel, you've likely already heard about the convention that Paparazzi recently held in Las Vegas from August 2nd to August 6th at the MGM Grand. But we're going to cover a little bit more about it. Nevada was, at the time, approaching what would become the peak of a case surge from the Delta variant, with over 1,000 new confirmed cases every day and an estimated 7,000 infections every day based on data analysis of how many cases were likely to have gone untested. The Delta variant of the SARS-CoV-2 virus is an absurdly contagious virus, okay? The R0 of a virus is an estimate of how many new infections will result from each infected person. For reference, the R0 of most flu strains is approximately 1.5 to 2. So each person infected infects around 2 other people. The R0 of polio back in the day was 4 to 6. The R0 of chickenpox is about 10 to 12. The R0 of pertussis or whooping cough is about 15 to 17. The R0 of measles, which is the current crown holder, is about 16 to 18. The Delta variant is estimated to have an R0 of 6 to 9.5. So while it is not quite as infectious as the chickenpox, it is easily and extremely transmissible, like outrageously transmissible. Let me explain this another way. Every recruit Delta makes recruits 8 other people. It is doing the work in personal development. Let's go! This means it is more important than ever that we have people taking measures to protect others and themselves. When each new case could lead to 6 to 10 more new cases, that is a really big deal. I know what you're thinking. Well, gee golly, Mac, that sounds terrible. If only there were something we could do that would help reduce the spread. Well, you know what? You would think I was a brand name premium trash bag because I'm so goddamn glad you asked. There are things we can do that you'd swear were cold temperatures on butter from how effectively they prevent the spread. First, the vaccines. They are extremely effective, okay? And they don't cause socialism. Shower thoughts like these cause socialism.
If you had $1 billion, you could buy $1 million house, and you'd still have enough to buy 999 more $1 million houses. Are you fucking kidding me?
Furthermore, there's no fucking microchip in them, okay? First of all, do you seriously think they need a microchip to learn basically everything about you? You're literally spreading this conspiracy theory on Facebook. They already know everything about you. No microchip necessary. They also know, based on analysis of your Facebook content, that you're never going to get the vaccine anyway. So why would they be so stupid as to try that instead of stuffing it into some essential oils or Mountain Dew or a pack of Pall Malls? Really? How dumb do you think they are? Second of all, how important do you think you are that you think anyone is that interested in your life or that you are that useful to some billionaire or whatever? Your fucking Facebook friends aren't even interested in your life and you think some globalist tyranny is interested? Please, what are they going to control you into doing? Seriously, what? Newsflash, they already know how to manipulate you into changing your beliefs and behavior to do their bidding, and that's how fucking Facebook ads and Fox News work, okay? None of that requires a needle. It's very easy to accomplish already, okay? Third of all, side effects. Yeah, while they exist, they are extremely rare, and they're a lot fucking rarer than this goddamn crazy infectious virus that, regularly kills people. Okay. Serious adverse events that you report to your healthcare provider, from anaphylaxis, which is allergic reaction, down to shoulder pain, are required to be reported to the FDA. It is illegal for your healthcare provider to not report them. And healthcare providers are strongly encouraged to report any event to the FDA, even if it is unclear if the vaccine caused it or not. All of these reports are de-identified and anonymized, and the data is publicly available. It is illegal for any of those de-identified reports to not be made available so that the information can be published transparently. Manufacturers must report any and all adverse events that they have ever been made aware of for any vaccine to the FDA. It is illegal for manufacturers to not report an adverse event of any kind related to any vaccine to the FDA. Vaccines have the highest standard that exists in terms of monitoring adverse events. I cannot stress this enough. It is extremely thorough and rigorous, okay? So why should you get it? Because they fucking work. Breakthrough cases are expected, especially with a virus as insidiously infectious as the Delta variant. However, just based on the current numbers here in Utah right now, you are 4.9 times more likely to test positive for COVID-19 if you are unvaccinated. You are 5.6 times more likely to be hospitalized with COVID-19, and you are 6.1 times more likely to die from COVID-19 if you are unvaccinated. I get it. You're essentially in a cult of crazy conspiracy theories as people around you fucking drop dead, even though if they had been vaccinated, statistically, out of every 6 of those people that are dead, 5 would still be alive right now. But surely there must be something more we could do to further slow the spread. Well, you're damn right there is. But it's really extreme and really dangerous. And frankly, it chills me to the core, but it is necessary. Okay, ready? We should put cloth masks on our faces. What? Stop. It's okay. Stop screaming and crying. I know, it's like, it's so scary to have cloth covering part of your face. Okay, but research suggests that masks drop rates of infection by 50 to 80%, meaning it's 1/5 to 1/2 as likely. Yeah, I was shocked too. This whole fucking time, I thought surgeons were just doing a fashion statement, but apparently it is to prevent infectious droplets and aerosol from getting into the incision. But don't they know that viruses and bacteria are too small to be stopped by masks? Well, those things are carried on the little droplets that exit your respiratory tract. So, and stay with me here, this is kind of insane. It turns out that if the virus is carried by little droplets, you can stop the little droplets and that stops the virus. Okay, this might be why they do recalls and inspections when there's an E. coli outbreak. See, because I was always like, don't they know that they can't see E. coli without a microscope? But shockingly, what it turns out, if you stop the lettuce that has the E. coli, that's also effective. Mind blown. Believe me, I understand the hardship and terror caused by masks, okay? When I think, being twice as likely to get COVID-19 as well as my family being twice as likely, or cloth on my face. Cloth on my face or twice as likely for my family to get this potentially deadly illness? Gosh, can I flip a coin? Watch, here, I'll show you that it's possible to survive, okay? Relax, I'll be okay. Oh my gosh, so much oxygen deprivation, you guys. I like how a virus is too small to be blocked by the mask, but oxygen is somehow unable to pass through. Even though one thing is a molecule with 2 atoms, okay, and the other is a massive biological molecule mass totaling 50 million atoms. Like, which is it? How can it block oxygen but not block the fucking virus that is 25 million times more atoms than oxygen is? Explain it to me. Actually, don't. I don't need to hear you waste a bunch more of my time. Stop it. Seriously, you are complaining about nothing and being a douche, and I'm so tired of your shit. Given the state of affairs in Nevada at the time, the state was under a mask mandate, so Paparazzi and its consultants were great guests who were super respectful by following the laws of the place they traveled to instead of being total and complete sociopaths. I'm just kidding. Check out these photos collected and documented by @the_MLM_bossbabe on Instagram, and be sure to check out her 2 highlights on her page for even more details. Now, perhaps they're using some new invisible mask technology that is unavailable to the rest of us. Also, are you really going to risk people not seeing your beautiful smile just because of some silly, potentially deadly disease that you could become infected with and then infect somewhere around 8 of your loved ones with? I mean, what's more important to you? Gumball machine jewelry and Instagram, or silly things like you and your family's lives? Try to be understanding. There's nothing scarier than the prospect of posting a photo to Instagram with this silly mask on. I mean, what? You think we're going to be accustomed to seeing you with a mask on just because we've seen over a year of photos of people with masks on to the point that we basically don't even notice it anymore? That's ridiculous. Give me my smile or give me death. I literally can't hear you over my freedom. Thankfully, though, Paparazzi did do the responsible thing and required documentation of full vaccination at least 14 days before the convention. I'm just kidding. There was no such requirement. All of that aside, the consultants were told there was totally no pressure to come, and they could experience all the benefits of the convention by logging on, and if they were to receive an award, it would still be presented to them. No big deal. And if they had symptoms of COVID-19 before the convention, no problem. Your $245 ticket would absolutely be refunded. No issue. Wait. Actually, no. Let's look at the frequently asked questions for the Paparazzi Celebration 2021 website. Question: will there be a virtual broadcast? Answer: no, there will not be a virtual broadcast of this event. Question: where and when will I get my recognition gifts? Answer: in order to receive any recognition gifts associated with convention attendance, the consultant must be checked in as a Celebrate attendee. Recognition gifts will be handed out after the Black and White Recognition Gala on Thursday night. Your name badge will be required to pick up your gifts. Question: I received a free convention ticket in my large home party starter kit, $499. How do I redeem it? The answer to this question, after a bunch of other details, says this. Answer: please note that if a consultant redeems a free convention ticket voucher and is unable to attend Celebrate, a $50 penalty fee will be incurred. This fee will be waived if a formal cancellation is received by the events team via email by 5 p.m. Mountain Time, Friday, June 18th, 2021. Free convention tickets cannot be redeemed by anyone other than the account holder. Question: if I purchase a ticket and then contract COVID-19 and am unable to attend, can I get a refund? Answer: no. All ticket sales for Celebrate are final. No cancellations or refunds will be offered regardless of the reason for absence. Tickets are non-transferable. Well, the convention was about 3 weeks ago, and now 7 consultants and 1 spouse of a consultant are dead after contracting COVID-19 at the convention, and the spouse of one of the now dead consultants also caught it from her when she came home, and he is also dead. That is 9 confirmed dead as a result of this convention, and I have verified this information. I'm not going to read or list their names here, but the information is available in the MLM Boss Babes highlights, and you can confirm the public records. We have all 9 names. The fact that this event was held in this manner is shocking. I mean, the consequences and deaths that have resulted so far are not surprising at all. That is exactly what I would expect to result from an event with 17,000 people, most of them unvaccinated and not wearing masks, who paid hundreds of dollars to attend, that would not be refunded if they did not attend, even if it was because they had COVID-19, and who would not receive awards and recognition they were supposed to receive if they did not attend, and who would completely miss the event with no ability to watch it virtually whatsoever if they did not go in person. This was completely predictable. If you had asked me or anyone else who takes this fucking deadly serious thing deadly seriously, any of us would have said, people will die because of this. Paparazzi knew people would die as a result of this. And if they did not know, that doesn't matter, because they should have known. When you don't know something, but you should have known it, and it results in people being hurt or killed, that is not ignorance, that is negligence. And there is guilt involved in negligence. So, who bears the responsibility for this? Is this really the time to point fingers and play the blame game? Yeah. It absolutely is the time to figure out who is responsible. What's going to change later? When is going to be the right time to have a conversation? After time has passed and the hurt is less fresh? After the 9 victims of this death convention are buried? When? An event happened and people are dead, and now is the time for responsibility and accountability. Are the consultants to blame? Well, certainly partially. There's no sensible reason to not be vaccinated and not use masks indoors when other people are around. None. You have been told this over and over, and the evidence is right fucking in front of you. And just because you are in denial does not change that you are responsible, at least partially. I'm not here to argue that, because it's not helpful. If your solution is always to make thousands of people individually change their behavior, then your solution is not a real solution. Paparazzi is just as, if not more, responsible for this, and I'm going to go into several reasons why and compare with what they should have done. One thing I've seen from both the consultants and people who are uninvolved is that it was their choice to attend. Okay. I am so sick of people saying that something you must do in order to earn money or to avoid losing money is just free choice. That's not free choice. Those consultants see this as their job that is going to be their ticket to earning tons of money. They're wrong, but they really, honest to God, believe that it is. If you are in the same situation with your job or a really attractive job offer, you would probably at least be considering it, especially if you were told that you wouldn't receive awards you were supposed to get and that you would be completely left out of everything that happens at the event, and your boss had really, really, really strongly encouraged you to go. That's not freedom of choice. Something someone believes that they need to do in order to earn money is not a choice. The consultants genuinely believe paparazzi is how they are going to earn a living, and that in order to be successful in paparazzi, they needed to go to the convention. It's not an accurate assessment to say it's simply their choice. Yes, it technically is their choice, and partially the choice is theirs, but it's also not that simple. So what should have been the case here? Well, they could have canceled the convention. I don't think this is necessary, but they could have canceled it. There was no reason why this convention needed to happen other than, I suspect, financial liabilities, as well as the loss of millions of dollars in ticket sales and the inevitable merchandise and inventory purchases by the attendees, since the attendees have to pay to attend. Either way, leaving it up to freedom of choice means hoping that 17,000 people make the right decision, which clearly didn't happen, when canceling the convention would have assured that 17,000 of the right choices were made for them. Again, I don't think the convention necessarily had to be canceled, but let's not forget that it was a perfectly valid option. The conference could have been made available virtually. It is ridiculous that this was not done. I have to assume that the reason for this is probably that they had some sort of arrangement for the pricing on the cost of hosting the convention at the MGM Grand, where they probably assured the hotel that the consultants would book at least a certain number of rooms. And also perhaps fear of losing all the merch sales they knew they could make in person to the attendees. I'm sure the pressure to buy is much more intense and effective at these conferences when you're there in person than they could ever be online. And paparazzi decided that they would rather risk their consultants' lives than risk their profit. This took away a choice that would have made it much easier for consultants to make it the decision to not attend. And I'm sure many went because they felt they would miss out and that would make them less successful and they would just be left out. Refunds in full should have been available to anyone with any symptoms whatsoever that could be COVID-19 within 14 days prior to the start date of the convention upon request, and consultants should have been told that attending the convention with symptoms would result in termination. This is particularly outrageous to put a $245 price tag on making the responsible choice. I have to imagine this was a deciding factor for many, many people. While it is 100% the consultant's choice to not be vaccinated, it was not the choice of the hotel staff, vaccinated consultants, and others to be around unvaccinated people. If going forward with holding the convention in person, vaccination should have been mandatory and proof of vaccination should have been required. Leaving it up to personal choice with respect to a massive, crowded event means perhaps a majority of people being there unvaccinated. That's what happens with individual responsibility being relied on when the situation is a collective thing like a pandemic and the event in question is a huge event with 17,000 attendees. Vaccines are effective on an individualized basis, yes. However, the effectiveness increases dramatically as the percentage of people getting it increases. Requiring it would have taken care of that choice. It is legal to require it, so it should have been done. It is utterly baffling why this was not the case, other than I suspect the personal beliefs of the founders are likely involved here. In that case, their personal beliefs were deadly, and they should be held to account for that. And I've heard the argument that, well, how could they enforce masks? They couldn't enforce masks. What a ridiculous, asinine statement. People are going to die. Masks were mandatory in public spaces in Nevada. It was illegal to not have a mask on in public spaces. Consultants should have been ejected from the convention without a refund and terminated from paparazzi for failure to wear a mask over their nose and mouth, no exceptions. That would have been a very effective policy, I think. And in cases where it was not, the ejection of the non-compliant person takes care of that problem. Security staffing is very easy to come by in Vegas, I assure you. And the MGM Grand probably could have assisted with that. I've heard that casinos have pretty good security. Even without the radical action of requiring a piece of cloth over your nose and mouth because not doing so will actually kill people, leadership could have fucking set an example, which these photos suggest they fucking did not. Masks, like vaccines, are effective on an individualized basis, yes, but are far far more effective when the compliance rate goes up. And this is a collective situation where it is inappropriate and ineffective to throw your hands up and rely on freedom of choice and personal responsibility. How do I know this would have worked? How do I know they could have done it? Well, at the end of July, the music festival Lollapalooza was held in Chicago. It was attended by 385,000 people. Attendees were required to have proof of vaccination or proof of a negative test. It is estimated that over 90% of the attendees were fully vaccinated. 203 cases of COVID-19 resulted, 0 hospitalizations, 0 deaths. Lollapalooza was literally safer than most places in the country. It's not exactly surprising either. If the whole country had 90% vaccination, this pandemic would be over. Lights out, done, dusted. Even with the Delta variant, this pandemic would be over. So I don't want to hear that there was nothing that could have been done, because there was. And you could still have your Gumball Machine Jewelry convention and 9 people would still be alive right now. Following the deaths of 9 of their consultants, Paparazzi has acted very quickly to address the situation by ensuring they delete any comments about their consultants dying or the likely thousands of COVID cases resulting from the convention. And while Paparazzi claims that there has been no effort to silence any discussion, that doesn't seem to be true, given this message sent by this upline, for example, reading, "Okay, not sure how to say this, but just to say it, any leader that shared anything on their page about COVID and paparazzi convention, I urge you and encourage you to delete the post. There are some people that are trying to criminalize and demonize paparazzi and our founders, and we need to protect the brand and image of paparazzi. This is getting widespread attention." I can't even express how fucking flagelliously vile that message is. Maybe you wouldn't be criminalized and demonized if you cared as much about your consultants' lives as you do about paparazzi's brand and image. And that's what I'm here for, because that is heinous. So what's the motive here? I guess money? Since they were so adamant that consultants, even if they had COVID-19 prior to the event and didn't want to go because of having COVID-19, would not be refunded their $245 ticket cost. At about 17,000 attendees times $245, that is $4,165,000 in revenue. Naturally, this doesn't account for the many purchases the consultants would have made while there, but I don't expect to get access to those numbers. That's about $462,000 in revenue per consultant or consultant family member killed. I didn't know that life was so cheap. But I guess it fucking is when you are this much of a barbarically inhuman and fucking boundlessly stolen monstrous piece of shit. This pisses me off so much. I hope it pisses you off too. I am so fucking tired of this.